May does not wait. Not for the weekend. Not for the weather to feel more certain. The gardener who puts these 10 vegetables in the ground this week and the gardener who waits until the end of the month are not growing the same garden. They are growing two entirely different outcomes, and by August, only one of them will know why. This is not modern gardening advice. This is older than that. The farmers who fed ancient Egypt did not consult a packet. The Aztec agriculturalists who sustained cities of 100,000 people did not wait until it felt like the right time. The Haudenosaunee planted by the land's own signals, oak leaf emergence, soil temperature, the particular quality of May light, because they understood something modern gardening culture has quietly forgotten, that the window is real, it is narrow, and it does not reopen. Here is what that looks like in a real garden. The gardener who plants snap peas this week harvests crisp, sweet pods in June. The gardener who waits 3 more weeks harvests tough, starchy shells in July heat and wonders what went wrong. Nothing went wrong with the plant. Everything went wrong with the timing. The same story plays out with tomatoes, peppers, sweet potatoes, and 6 more crops on this list. We are counting down 10 vegetables, starting at number 10 and building to the one crop almost nobody in the U.S. plants in May, even though missing May means losing the entire harvest. By the end of this video, you will have a planting list and a reason to go outside today. Not this weekend. Today. If this is the kind of gardening content you have been looking for, rooted in history, specific in method, honest about what the window costs, subscribe now. This channel is built for the gardener who wants to understand the why behind the when. Number 10. Spinach, the closing window crop. Most gardeners think of May as spinach season. It is not. May is the last week of spinach season. Egyptian farmers along the Nile cultivated leafy greens with documented cold window cutoff timing as far back as 200 BC. Deliberate succession planting designed to capture the final cool window before temperatures made leafy crop production impossible. They were tracking the same biological threshold that governs your spinach bed today. Spinach bolts when soil temperatures consistently exceed 65 degrees Fahrenheit and day length crosses 14 hours. In zone 5 to 7, that threshold arrives between late May and mid-June. A spinach plant in the ground today has 4 to 5 weeks of productive harvest. A spinach plant in the ground at the end of May has 10 days before the heat triggers bolting and leaves turn bitter. Direct cell 1 inch deep, 3 inches apart, in full or partial shade. Zones 5 to 6. Plant by May 25th. Zone 7 to 8. Your window closes May 15th. Water consistently. Drought accelerates bolting faster than heat alone. But that was not all. When spinach bolts, and you cut it at the base, the decomposing root mass improves soil structure for the warm season crop that follows. The bolted plant is not a failure. It is green manure in waiting. Seeds cost less than $1. 10 minutes to sow. A spinach bed planted today is a harvest in June. A spinach bed planted at the end of May is a lesson in what the window actually means. Number 9 is a crop whose sweetness is literally measured in days, and the clock is already running. Number 9. Peas, the sugar clock. Every gardener knows to plant peas in spring. Almost no gardener knows that in May the spring pea window is not opening, it is closing. Roman agricultural writer Columellus' 1st century CE manual specifies pea planting windows tied to soil temperature, noting explicitly that late-planted peas produce inferior flavor. He was describing the same biological process we can now measure in a laboratory, the conversion of sugar to starch. When soil temperatures rise above 70 degrees Fahrenheit, sugars inside a developing pea pod convert to starch at an accelerating rate. Below 70 degrees Fahrenheit, sweet, tender pods. Above 70 degrees Fahrenheit, tough, mealy pods that taste of nothing worth growing. The pea is simply responding to heat the way it was designed to. You are the one who planted too late. Direct sow 1 inch deep, 2 inches apart, along any support structure. Zones 5 to 6, plant immediately. Zones 7 to 8, plant in the shadiest available spot and mulch heavily. Zones 9 to 11, the spring window has closed, wait for autumn. But that was not all. Pea roots host nitrogen-fixing bacteria that will enrich your soil for the tomatoes or peppers that follow in the same bed. The pea vine is a soil improvement program with edible pods attached. 1 packet of seed. 30 minutes of planting. The Romans documented this window 2,000 years ago. You have 2 weeks of it left. The next crop has a window measured not in weeks, but in soil temperature, and your soil may already be there. Number 8. Cucumber, the 50-day calculation. Cucumber punishes delay with mathematics. Plant today, and you harvest mid-July through September. The full productive arc plant at the end of May, and you shift everything 3 weeks, harvesting into October, when temperatures drop, vines slow, and fruit development stalls. Farmers in the Indus Valley Civilization were cultivating cucumbers as far back as 3000 BCE with planting tied specifically to pre-monsoon soil warming. Archaeological evidence from Harappan sites shows cucumber cultivation as a structured seasonal crop. They understood that cucumber establishment must precede peak heat to produce the extended harvest that makes the crop worth growing. Cucumber vines need soil temperatures above 60 degrees Fahrenheit to germinate, but fruit production peaks in the 70 to 85 degrees Fahrenheit range. Plant now, and the vine hits its productive stride in July, carrying through to frost. Plant late, and it establishes just as temperatures begin dropping. Direct sow 1 inch deep, 12 inches apart, in soil consistently at 65 degrees Fahrenheit. Zones 5 to 6. If soil has not reached 65 degrees Fahrenheit, wait 1 week, no longer. Zone 7 to 9, plant immediately. Sow 3 seeds per station, thin to the strongest after germination. Trellis vertically to save space and improve air circulation. But that was not all. Cucumber vines grown vertically shade the soil beneath them, reducing moisture loss by up to 30% through the hottest weeks of summer. Seeds cost almost nothing. The 50-day window costs everything if you miss it. Number 7 fixes your soil while feeding your family, but only if you get it in the ground before the heat arrives. Number 7, bush beans, the nitrogen deal. Bush beans cannot be transplanted. Direct sown only. Every week of delay is growing time permanently lost. There is no catching up. The Aztec Three Sisters polyculture planted beans at a precise window relative to corn emergence, when corn was 6 inches tall, not before, not after. The beans needed warm, established soil with the windbreak the young corn provided. This timing precision sustained civilizations of hundreds of thousands. Bush beans germinate in soil above 60 degrees Fahrenheit and reach first harvest in 50 to 60 days. But their nitrogen-fixing root nodules take several weeks to establish after germination. A bean planted today fixes atmospheric nitrogen into your soil by late June. A bean planted at the end of May fixes nitrogen in July, enriching the soil for the autumn crop, not the summer one. Direct sow 1 inch deep, 4 to 6 inches apart, in rows 18 inches apart. Do not soak seeds. It increases rot risk in cool soil. Full sun. Zones 5 to 6, plant this week. Zone 7 to 9, plant now, and plant a second sowing in 6 weeks for autumn. But that was not all. A finished bean bed, with roots, left in place leaves measurably nitrogen-richer soil for the following crop. The bean's greatest contribution happens after the harvest is over. 1 packet of seed. The Aztecs built empires on this crop's timing. Give it the window it earned. Number 6 surprises most gardeners. They treat it as an afterthought. It is one of the most time-sensitive crops on this list. Number 6. Basil, the flavor window. Basil is one of the most cold-sensitive plants in the common garden. A basil plant shocked by soil temperatures below 60 degrees Fahrenheit never fully recovers, not in leaf quality, and critically not in the aromatic oil production that makes it worth growing. Sanskrit texts from approximately 1000 BCE describe basil planting tied to specific temperature conditions. Ancient Egyptian agricultural records treat it as a warm-season crop requiring specific soil warmth before transplanting. A cold-shock basil plant is a compromised one, and they knew it 3,000 years ago. Basil produces its aroma and flavor through volatile essential oils synthesized in the leaf glands. Cold soil permanently suppresses this oil production. The plant survives, but leaves are thin, pale, and faintly flavored. No subsequent warmth restores what the cold shock suppressed. Transplant seedlings. Do not direct sow outdoors after soil reaches a consistent 65 degrees Fahrenheit. Space 12 inches apart in full sun. Pinch the growing tip immediately to encourage bushy growth. Zones 5 to 6. Use a soil thermometer, not the calendar. Zone 7 to 9. Plant now without hesitation. But that was not all. Research has documented measurable flavor improvement in tomatoes grown near basil. The aromatic compounds basil releases appear to influence the volatile chemistry of nearby fruit. Basil near tomatoes is a documented flavor investment, not folklore. Plant basil in cold soil, and you grow a ghost of the herb. Plant it now, and you grow the real thing. 5 crops in. 5 windows closing faster than your seed packet suggested. And 5 ancient civilizations that already knew exactly what you have just learned. The 5 crops coming next carry urgency measured not in weeks, but in the entire season. Miss the window on what is coming, and you are not losing a flush of harvest. You are losing the harvest entirely. The crop at number 1 is almost certainly not what you are expecting. Stay with me. Number 5. Squash, the living canopy. Squash fools gardeners into complacency. The vine sprawls. The leaves expand. Everything looks vigorous. And then the heat peaks, the blossoms open, and almost nothing sets fruit. Farmers of ancient Oaxaca, Mexico, cultivated squash as far back as 8000 BCE. Their planting tradition ties squash to the dry to rainy season transition, designed to allow the vine to establish and flower before the most intense heat arrives. They knew what modern gardeners discover the hard way. Squash flowering is exquisitely sensitive to temperature. Squash produces separate male and female flowers. In temperatures consistently above 90 degrees Fahrenheit, the plant overwhelmingly produces male flowers and suppresses female flower development. The gardener watches dramatic yellow blooms and gets almost no fruit. Plant now, and the vine flowers through July in the ideal temperature range. Plant at the end of May, and flowering peaks in the hottest weeks of summer. Direct sow 1 inch deep, 3 feet apart. Zones 5 to 6. Plant this week. Zone 7 to 9. Plant immediately. Consider afternoon shade cloth in July. But that was not all. Squash leaves act as living mulch beneath the vine, suppressing weeds and reducing soil moisture loss by up to 40% through summer. Plant now. The vine will take care of the rest. Number 4 must be planted in a specific geometric pattern. Most gardeners who get it wrong never understand why the harvest disappoints. Number 4. Sweet corn, the geometry crop. Sweet corn's urgency is not about frost or heat. It is about geometry and pollination, and almost every disappointing corn harvest traces back to the same mistake: planting in a row instead of a block. The Haudenosaunee planted corn when oak leaves reached the size of a squirrel's ear, an empirical observation refined across thousands of years that correlates oak emergence with soil temperatures consistently above 60 degrees Fahrenheit. They planted on this signal because generations of observation confirmed it worked. Corn pollinates by wind. Pollen drops from the tassel and must land on the silk, each strand connecting to one kernel, on neighboring plants. A single row pollinates poorly because wind carries pollen away. A block of at least 4 rows creates dense enough pollen coverage that every silk strand is reached. Rows produce incomplete cobs with missing kernels. Blocks produce full ears. Sow 1 inch deep, 8 to 12 inches apart, in blocks of at least 4 rows, 30 inches apart. Full sun. Zones 5 to 6, plant now. Zones 7 to 9, plant immediately for summer, and plant a second sowing in 6 weeks for autumn. But that was not all. Shredded corn stalks incorporated after harvest provide carbon-rich organic amendment that feeds the microbial communities serving next year's garden. Plant in a block. Plant now. The geometry is as important as the timing. Number 3 is the crop every viewer is already thinking about, and the detail that makes it urgent is the one almost nobody knows. Number 3. Tomatoes, the fruit set window. Here is the moment to plant tomatoes. It is now. And the reason is not the frost date on your seed packet. It is the heat threshold your packet does not mention. Aztec farmers cultivated tomatoes from at least 700 CE with planting windows tied to the dry season transition, designed to allow establishment, flowering, and first fruits set before peak summer heat. They planted before the heat, not into it. This distinction is everything. Tomato blossoms drop when daytime temperatures exceed 95 degrees Fahrenheit. A tomato planted today establishes through May, flowers in June, and sets its first cluster in early July, before the hottest weeks arrive. A tomato planted at the end of May attempts to flower in July, directly into the blossom drop window. The plant looks healthy and grows vigorously. It produces almost nothing through peak summer. Transplant into soil consistently above 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Bury the stem up to the lowest leaves. Tomatoes develop roots along any buried stem, building a stronger, more drought-resistant system. Full sun. 18 to 24 inches apart. Zones 5 to 6, plant this week. Zones 7 to 9, plant immediately. Zones 10 to 11, choose heat-set varieties bred for high-temperature fruit set. But that was not all. A deeply buried tomato develops roots reaching moisture unavailable to shallowly planted specimens, significantly more resilient through July and August dry periods. The Aztecs built this crop into the center of their agricultural calendar. Give it the position it has always deserved. Number 2 surprises gardeners with how unforgiving its timing actually is. It takes longer than almost anything else on this list to first harvest. Number 2. Peppers, the 90-day commitment. Peppers are the slowest maturing common vegetable in the American garden. 70 to 90 days from transplant to first harvest. A pepper planted today reaches harvest in August. A pepper planted at the end of May reaches harvest in September. In zones 5 to 6, where first frost arrives in October, that 3-week delay compresses the entire productive window to 4 weeks, and the plant gets pulled by frost before hitting its stride. Mayan agricultural records document pepper cultivation as far back as 7,500 BCE. Mayan tradition placed peppers among the first crops established after dry season, a deliberate recognition of their long maturation window. The Mayans treated peppers as a long-game crop. Most modern gardeners treat them as an afterthought. Peppers build slowly, leafing out, branching, establishing roots before committing to fruit. Cold soil slows this phase dramatically. A pepper in soil below 65 degrees Fahrenheit sits essentially dormant for weeks. Every cold day at the start of the season adds days to the harvest date at the end. Transplant, never direct sow, into soil consistently above 65 degrees Fahrenheit. 18 inches apart, full sun. Zones 5 to 6. Plant by May 20th at the absolute latest. Zones 7 to 9. Plant now. Black plastic mulch laid 2 weeks before planting raises soil temperature 4 to 8 degrees. But that was not all. Peppers harvested right up to the first frost warning produce a final autumn flush that often surpasses the summer harvest in flavor intensity. The best peppers of the season are frequently the last ones. The Mayans gave peppers the respect of first planting. Follow their lead. And now, number 1. The crop almost nobody plants in May. The one whose absence is costing you an entire harvest you do not even know you are missing. Number 1. Sweet potatoes, the hidden urgency. Nobody thinks of sweet potatoes as urgent. They feel like a crop with all the time in the world. They do not. Sweet potatoes carry the longest maturation window on this list, 90 to 120 days, and in most of the United States, the only month that guarantees enough growing time before autumn frost is May. Pre-Incan farmers in coastal Peru cultivated sweet potatoes as far back as 8000 BC. Their planting traditions tied sweet potato planting to rainy season onset, capturing maximum growing time before seasonal conditions changed. Polynesian voyagers carried sweet potatoes across the Pacific with seasonal precision that allowed establishment in entirely new climates. They understood what the sweet potato needs: time. And time, in a garden with a fixed frost date, is a resource only May can provide. A sweet potato slip planted in May reaches maturity in September, before first frost across almost all of the continental U.S. A slip planted in late June reaches maturity in October or November, after frost ends the season in zones 5 to 7. The gardener who plants late digs up golf ball-sized tubers in October, after 4 months of vigorous vine growth that produced nothing worth eating. Plant rooted slips, not seeds, not tubers, 4 inches deep, 12 inches apart, in rows 3 feet apart. Full sun. Soil above 65 degrees Fahrenheit is essential. Cold soil causes rot, not establishment. Zones 5 to 6. Plant this week without delay. Zones 7 to 9. Plant now. Raised beds are ideal. They warm faster and drain better. But that was not all. Sweet potato vines sprawling through summer function as one of the most effective living mulches of any common vegetable, suppressing weeds completely and retaining soil moisture through the hottest weeks of the year. Slips are inexpensive and widely available in May. Time, 1 afternoon. The most surprising harvest in your autumn garden is the one you planted in May. The pre-Incan farmers of coastal Peru understood this 8,000 years ago. Your frost date has not changed since then. Plant the slip. Give it the time it needs. 8 crops in. 2 left, and these final 2 are the most unforgiving on this list. Miss the window on spinach, and you lose a salad. Miss the window on what just came next, and you lose months of work entirely. If this is the ancient planting intelligence you have been missing, subscribe now. This channel recovers it every week. 10 crops. 10 civilizations. 10 windows open right now that will not stay open. What every crop on this list has in common is not that it is old. It is that the farmers who grew it understood something the modern seed packet reduced to a single printed date, that timing is not a suggestion. It is the method. The Haudenosaunee did not plant corn when it felt convenient. The Mayans did not transplant peppers when the weather looked nice. The pre-Incan farmers did not plant sweet potato slips whenever they got around to it. They planted on time because the harvest depended on it, And because the window did not negotiate, you have that same intelligence available today, for free, in your own garden. Pick one crop from this list and plant it before the sun goes down today. Not this weekend. Today. The May garden does not reward intention. It rewards action. Tell me in the comments, which crop surprised you most? Which one did you not know had a May window? Was it the sweet potatoes? The peppers? The basil that loses its flavor permanently in cold soil? I read every comment. Your answer shapes what comes next on this channel. If this video gave you something the seed packet never did, subscribe now. Every week, another method recovered from the historical record, another timing window explained, another ancient growing tradition made immediately usable in a modern garden. This is the channel for the gardener who wants to understand their garden, not just manage it. The farmers who grew these crops had no packets. They had observation, accumulated across generations, that told them exactly when the window opened and what it cost to miss it. Now you have it too. Go plant something. The window is open. It will not wait.